The video covers the sentencing of John Wesley Mullaney, who was convicted of aggravated burglary, vehicle burglary, and attempted aggravated burglary.
State versus John Wesley McElhaney.
Will you state your name for the record, please?
Michael Williams, Ajax.
Did you have an occasion to contact the police back on August the 1st of 2024?
I did.
And can you tell us what happened at your home and what you saw that evening?
Yes, on that evening, I had just returned from a trip from Chicago. I'd only been home for probably less than 2 hours. At that time, we're getting ready for bed, getting the kids ready for bed, and I noticed floodlights coming on outside. The floodlights are motion activated, so I thought it was suspicious. And as I walked around the house, I saw more floodlights going off. So I went out on the front porch, at which point I encountered Mr. McElhaney and asked him to leave. I asked him, he said he was there to see John. And I said, there's no John here and you need to go. And at that point, I realized I was sitting on a brightly lit front porch with him in the shadows. So I retreated back into my home and grabbed my pistol and made sure he had left the premises.
Determine at a later point that Mr. McElhaney had gone into any of your buildings or home? Yes,
I did. Upon running into that, I did look at the video. I did see him walking around the property with a flashlight and a dog. On every single one of my, I have multiple video cameras on the property. Every single camera saw him, got a very good look at him at the doorbell, peeking into my windows, where my daughter was sleeping on the couch, and also realized that he had entered into my attached garage and also my barn on the property.
Okay, so you had surveillance footage, is that correct?
Yes, he was also using his flashlight to look into the 2 campers on the property and trying the doors to get in those as well.
Okay. Was anything stolen from your property?
Nothing tangible, but my family's security was stolen that night.
Okay. Well, tell the court how this crime affected you and your family.
Yeah, as a result of this crime, my family has had trouble sleeping. They've had trouble, being secure in the home. Every night, one of us checks multiple times every single door to make sure it's locked. We've had to invest thousands of dollars into a security system and pay a monthly fee. And my family is in fear when I leave the house, which is weekly for work, that I travel for work. So it's had a very significant and profound impact on my family. Like I said, their sense of security has been stolen and no amount of money can give that back.
Okay.
People have to be accountable for their actions. This action has a profound and deep impact on my family. And in this case, considering the history, we'd like to request the maximum penalty.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Zajac. I appreciate it if you'll just answer any questions of the defense.
Yes, ma'am.
You reviewed the video footage from your home security cameras?
Yes.
And you saw the defendant at your property?
Yes.
Now, based on the time of that footage, was that prior to or after the interaction that you had with the defendant?
I believe it was prior to the interaction. Based on the footage, I had asked him, when I asked him to leave, it appeared that he retreated back towards some overgrowth by my barn, which I have since cut down. As a result of this incident, did significant property maintenance to make sure that there was no hiding places. It appeared that he was hidden, and as I walked out and I yelled, if you're still here, you better not be. And at that point, he appeared to retreat off the property.
Okay, so when you interacted with the defendant, he had told you that he was looking for a John?
Yes.
What was the defendant's demeanor like at that time? How would you describe his behavior?
I would say he seemed sleepy, I guess for lack of a better word, and aloof.
Okay. Did he seem confused?
No, I wouldn't say it in those words.
You said sleepy. Was he unsteady on his feet, or did he have a certain expression? What made you think sleepy?
It was hard to tell just by the tone of his voice. He was kind of in the shadows when I encountered him.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good
Will you
morning.
state your name, please, for the record?
My name is Mildred Thaxton. Yes, ma'am, I've lived there 65 years.
All right. That's a long time. Did you have a reason to contact the police back on August the 1st of 2024?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay.
My son called me and told me to lock both of my doors, turn my porch lights on, because he saw a guy in his yard. But by the time my son went in the house to get his gun to go out there and talk to the guy, he was already in the woods. And my son told me he's headed my way, so he came in the woods to come to my house.
So does your son live like on an adjoining property?
Yes.
From you? How far away would you say he is from you?
I would say probably 2 blocks, maybe.
Okay, all right, so a little bit away, but not too far.
No,
Did at some point in time, did you encounter Mr. McElhaney?
the only first time that I encountered him was when he was on my front porch.
All right.
He had laid the gun down there on the chair, and he wasn't knocking like he would, want me to come to the door. He was pounding on my door,
All right.
and I was so scared. And then this was at 11 o'clock at night, and I heard my pump come on. And I thought, they're not feeding the horses out there this time of night.
Tell me what that means by the pump. Is it like
I have a well.
a well? Okay.
I have a well.
And does it make a certain type of noise or something when it
Yeah,
comes
it
on?
comes on because it's on my back porch. The pump is.
I see.
And so it comes on when the water comes on. So I went to the bathroom and looked out the window, and he was taking his clothes off. He'd already taken his shirt off, and he had the hose, and he was spraying his body down. So I went back and I called my son again. I said, please tell the cops to come quickly because he's here. And so he sat down on a cooler that I had on the patio, and then that's when they came in and got him.
Okay. Up here, or did you think he was trying to come into the house, I guess is the
I knew
question.
he was bound and determined to come in my house.
And tell me why, like what made you
Because the
feel
way
that?
he was knocking on it.
Okay.
Normally a person, if they come to your house, they would just knock, with their hand, but this was pounding.
Did he jiggle the doorknob?
Yes,
Were you able to identify the gun?
yes, I did.
And how did you know who it belonged to?
I knew it was my son's because my husband gave it to him.
Okay. When did you see the gun laying on your porch?
As soon as I heard the knock on the door, I could see out the crack of my window, and it was laying across the chair there by the door.
Okay. At some point in time, did you get the gun off of the front porch and bring
I
it
did.
inside?
I did.
When was that?
After he had left off the porch. I didn't know where he went, but my son came down there, and we took the gun in the house.
Okay. Can you tell the court how this experience has made you feel? How it's
Well,
affected you?
I have had many, many nights of sleepless nights, plus I had to go to the ER, and my heart doctor had to put me on some depression medicine because I couldn't sleep. And I've never had an experience like that. Like I say, I've lived there 65 years, and we have never had anything like this to happen.
Right.
And I was talking to my neighbor, the one that just you interviewed, and told him, please don't move out of the area because we don't never have anything like this going on in this area. Please don't move back to where he came from
Sure.
because they were really nice people.
Right.
In August 2024, right? So over a year ago?
Over a year ago.
Okay. Has your sleep improved at all?
It has some, taken the medicine that the doctor gave me, but I'm still having nightmares.
You said that you went to the ER after this incident. How quickly did you go to the ER after the night?
I was trying to make my mind up if I really wanted to go or if I didn't want to go. I didn't call any of my family. I just got in my car and I drove myself over there, which I shouldn't have done because I was in such a state of mind, but I did.
Was that the next day or how soon after?
That was that morning at 1 o'clock.
So in the middle of the night, you went to the ER after this?
Right.
Okay. Well, what did you take the pounding to indicate?
I think maybe he thought that if he pounded hard enough that the door would come open because I live in an older home. And I felt like that's what he thought he was going to do. And at that time, I went and got my gun.
Now, you
I'd
would-
hate to know that I had to hurt anybody. I'm not that kind of person. But if somebody's going to come in and try to kill me, I'm going to take revenge.
So the pounding on the door, you would agree that people knock on doors in order to get the attention of the
Oh, yeah.
occupant inside the house?
Yes.
So couldn't this have been knocking on the door to get the attention of you inside the house?
Well, I mean, it could have been, but when he started pounding on it, that's not a regular knock. That's determined they're going to try to get in.
Okay. But to be sure, the defendant never entered your home, did he?
No,
Okay. And he took none of your property, did he?
no, not that I know of.
Okay. All right. Thank
I'm
you.
sure there's some in the woods back there somewhere because as far as I know, there was about 11 homes affected that day.
Thank you.
Redirect. Thank you, Ms. Thaxton. You may have a seat.
All right. Mr. McElhaney, would you please state your name?
John Wesley McElhaney.
Okay. And in this case, you've been convicted of aggravated burglary, vehicle burglary, and attempted aggravated burglary. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're asking the court to decide your sentence and allow you to go to recovery court here in this judicial district. Is that right?
That's correct.
I would like to hand you a document. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
All right. What is it?
It's a acceptance letter to drug court.
Okay. Do you have a drug problem?
Yes, I do.
When did you first start using drugs?
Probably 14.
Okay. What drugs were those?
Marijuana.
Okay. And what led to that?
I don't know. I lost my dad when I was young, and my mom remarried, and man she married, he was not a good person, and he was abusive. So my mother let me kind of stay away from the house, and I got tangled up in the wrong bunch,
How was he abusive to you?
mentally and physically.
Okay. Like physically, he'd strike you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your father had passed away before that?
Yes.
Yeah. How old were you when your father died?
Well,
How did your father die?
he was killed in a car accident.
Okay. And did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I did. And when my dad died, I had a stepbrother. His name was Casey, and we grew up together. And 4 years after my dad passed, he was killed in a dirt bike accident.
Okay. Were you close to Casey?
Yes, very close.
Why did you use drugs?
Well, like I said, I buried my dad, I buried my brother. When I was 21, I buried my firstborn son. 4 years after that, when I was 30, I lost my best friend, my granddaddy, in a tractor accident in the front yard. 4 years after that, I buried my mother tragically. And I don't know.
You said your mother died in 2019, is that correct?
2018.
2018? Okay. What led to her death?
Well, she was diagnosed with a lymphoma disease years prior to this, and she had to do chemo and radiation, which is a form of breast cancer, and she beat it. And she developed MS, muscular sclerosis, because of the chemo and whatnot. She could walk around the house. She could do things. She could walk around Walmart without her getting these dizzy spells. So she was doing a sleep study at Franklin's Women Medical Center in Williamson County. And it was an outpatient deal from 3 to 6 o'clock. She had to sleep, and they would study her sleep patterns. Her insurance paid for her a hotel to stay nearby, so she didn't have to drive back and forth up there for 5 days. And the last night, I guess she got up during the night in the hotel room and had one of her dizzy spells, and she fell and she hit the back of a chair and crushed her esophagus and suffocated her there on the floor.
Were you close to your mother?
Very close.
When did you start using something else, and what was it?
I don't know, after I graduated high school, I started experimenting with cocaine and pills, and this wasn't enough. So it moved on to heroin, and I I got clean there for a little while until my mother passed, and I knew if I went back to heroin that it'd probably be the death of me. And so I started with meth, experimenting with meth, and
Did you overdose on heroin?
yes, I did.
When was that?
About 4 months after my mother died. It was probably January 2019.
Past, where you've
I
had
got
criminal
two-
convictions.
I got 2 prior theft charges, and one time I was cutting a tree for this old man, and as I was cleaning it up, I noticed next door that a man had this huge pile of copper, and well, I come back a couple of nights later and some copper. And then my other charge is I traded some heroin for a vehicle, and I had a failure to appear, and the police come to my house and they run all the vehicles in the driveway, and that vehicle that I traded happened to be stolen. So they charged me with theft of property.
And did you lose custody of your children?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Well, my 2 middle children, Ava and Weston, when I left my wife, I left her and the kids, and my oldest daughter, she's 18 now, but my youngest daughter, I haven't seen her in a couple of years. Her name's Addison, she's 9. The first 2 years of her life, she lived with me and her mother, and one day her grandmother showed up at the house with an officer and took my kid and gave us a court date 3 days later, and they done a hair follicle test and took my little girl.
Okay. So, right now, do you talk to your kids?
Yes, I
Okay.
talk to them every day.
And they contact you in the jail?
Yeah, I have it. It's called a chirp. We can text message back and
Okay.
forth, and I talk to all of them.
On the property of Mr. Michael Zajac, why were you walking around his property?
Well, I ran out of gas, and I was trying to get home, and it was getting late, and I walked up to this house and knocked on the door. Nobody answered. I walked out. On my way out, I turned around and walked back to the garage, and the door was unlocked. I walked inside, looking for gas. No gas. I left. There was a building out at the end of the road. Went in there. I was looking for some gas, man. I wasn't trying to.
What kind of vehicle were you driving?
On a four-wheeler.
Okay.
Mr. Zajac come out, and I left. I was sitting down at the community center. Police pulled up, questioned me, and I said, "Oh, I'm walking home." So on my way home, I've seen them coming, so I got off the road because I didn't want to have any more contact with them. And that's when I was walking through Mr. Thaxton's yard, and he come out and saw me, and it was hot. I got me a drink of water at Mrs. Thaxton's, and that's when they got me.
Okay. And did you take any property from anyone?
No, I did not.
Okay. You were arrested in August 2024, and you've remained in jail ever since then?
Yes, sir. It's almost 16 months.
Mr. McElhaney, do you recognize these certificates?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Tell me about these documents.
Well, they've got these iPads in the jail that they bring around about every 10 days, 3 days. And they have different programs on these tablets that you can take. And each section of these programs has a quiz to take. And these, I don't know, I think there's like 9 or 10 here that I have completed.
So are these your certificates that you've earned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are these fair and accurate copies of the certificates that you've earned through completing these classes at the jail?
Yes, it is.
You had been riding a four-wheeler that day, is that correct, of this incident? Where was the four-wheeler?
I had it hid off the road. I pushed it off in the field.
Okay. Was it your four-wheeler?
No,
So you had stolen that?
it was a family member's folder.
Had they given you permission to use it?
No, they didn't.
Okay. You told the officer you'd been mowing all day.
Told him that I cut grass here, that I didn't tell him I'd been mowing all day.
Okay. When you went over to the home of Mr. Zajac, you told him you were looking for a friend that lived there.
Yeah, he scared me.
So you weren't really looking for a friend.
No, I was looking for gas.
January of 2024, you were convicted in Murray County of burglary of other than a habitation. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, why were you in Murray County?
I have some friends that live in Murray County, and I was just down there one night with some friends.
All right, and so you were convicted
Yes,
and you were placed on probation. Is that correct?
yes.
Where was your probation officer?
I was on probation in Murray County, but it was transferred up here.
Okay, so did you have a Dixon County probation officer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, who was that?
Sir Joe, can't remember his last name.
It's all right. Did you ask your probation officer for help or treatment?
No,
And why not?
I just got out of jail, and I knew, I thought I had it, and I thought I was okay.
Now, I've gone through and counted to your prior criminal history. Does it sound right that you have 9 felony convictions?
I thought it was 7, but I've never seen.
Okay. Did you look at the notice of enhancement that I filed?
Yes,
Okay. And so you think it's at least 7, but it could be 9?
yes, ma'am.
I'll hear you an argument.
Judge, I think what the court needs to face is the fact that it has an extremely long criminal history. He has been involved in committing crimes since at least the age of 20, according to the precedence report, all the way up until these latest crimes at the age of 40. Other enhancement factors that the state placed on their judge was that the victim of the offense was particularly vulnerable because of age or physical or mental disability. You heard today that Ms. Thaxton testified on there, and obviously Ms. Thaxton appears to be extremely sound mind and very capable. However, she is of older age and was alone in that home that night when Mr. McElhoney tried to break in. So I would ask the court give some weight to that. He was on state probation for a burglary other than a habitation in which he'd received a 3-year sentence out of Murray County. He was on probation for, it looks like approximately 7 months before these offenses were committed here in Dixon County. He may not have stolen anything that day material-wise, but he stole people's peace of mind, and he stole their security within their own home. And you've heard from 2 separate victims that told you that. You can't get that back after something like that has happened. Ms. Thaxton stated that she ended up having to go to the emergency room due to what happened to her. And at this point in time, Judge, I am asking that Mr. McElhoney take whatever opportunities he has in prison for treatment, and that's how he goes about and receives his treatment. And I'm asking the court to sentence Mr. McElhoney to serve the full 10 years, up to 10 years in prison. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense also filed a notice of mitigating factors and some supporting documents. And we would ask the court to consider the following mitigating factors. That the defendant's criminal conduct neither caused nor threatened any serious bodily injury. From the evidence that was presented today, it's clear that the defendant at no point threatened anyone with any kind of harm, made no verbal threats, and no one was in fact harmed, incurring serious bodily injury. And in fact, the testimony from Mr. Zajac was that when he directed the defendant to leave his property, the defendant did so. Sentencing the defendant such that he has to attend recovery court and complete that supports more goals of sentencing than simply sending him to prison. So we ask that the court order the defendant to undergo recovery court and complete that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Taking into consideration that the defendant has a long history of criminal conduct, it's been pointed out that he has 20-plus years of criminal conduct, either 9 or 7, depending on which version you accept, felony convictions, multiple misdemeanor convictions. He has convictions for other convictions, prior convictions for theft, and a conviction for burglary in his past. His sentence, if it had been open to the court, would be 10 years up to 15 years. That would be the range for the Class C aggravated burglary. By agreement between the state and the defendant, he received the consideration of limiting or capping the sentence to 10 years. Number three, the victim of the offense was particularly vulnerable because of age or physical or mental disability. I didn't get the impression Ms. Thaxton was very particularly so elderly that she was not disabled, but she is like me, she's not a young person, so I do find that that is a factor to it. And she lives alone, and being isolated in her home by herself, I think that is a factor that would be applicable in this case. The offense involved the theft of a firearm from a motor vehicle, and the court does find that although he did not plead to the actual theft, that the proof here has clearly established that there was a theft of the firearm from the motor vehicle. The mitigating factors that the defendant has submitted are one, that the defendant's criminal conduct neither caused nor threatened serious bodily injury. I'm happy that there was no serious bodily injury. Mr. McElhaney might want to consider the fact that in my growing up, if somebody had shown up on my father's doorstep in the middle of the night banging on the door, they might not be alive the next day to have to deal with anything. So luckily, there was no serious bodily injury or harm. Ms. Thaxton deserves to live in her home without fear. Mr. Zajac and his family, they deserve to live in their home and have a sense of security, and they've been robbed of that by the actions of the defendant in this case. And the defendant was motivated by a desire to provide necessities for the defendant's family or the defendant's self. I have listened to Mr. McElhaney and listened to the proof that the state put on from these witnesses about his behavior around their home is inconsistent with his version that he was simply looking for gasoline or that he was, just wanting to cool off with a hose or whatever. He may have been on drugs, but my opinion is that you don't go looking for gasoline if you're committing a burglary of a vehicle. That's not the purpose of it. And so for that reason, this court does not find that there is any indications substantiating the fact that he was acting on behalf of himself and seeking the necessities of gasoline. I think that factor is also more applicable in a situation where a person commits a theft because their family is hungry or starving or something, and they've been motivated to provide necessities for themselves or their families. That's the court's interpretation of the purpose of that. I do not find that to be applicable in this case. While I have great belief in the drug court program, the fact that this gentleman has been on probation over and over and over again is an indication to me that recalls the old saying that the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. I hope that Mr. McElhaney is serious about wanting to have treatment for his addiction, but this court is of the opinion that rendering him into the drug court program is not in the best interest of society and does not comply with what I believe the requirement of the law is. So therefore, as to count one of the aggravated burglary charge in docket number 134, he is sentenced to serve the 10 years in the Tennessee Department of Corrections. Count one of the 135, he is sentenced to 6 years for vehicular burglary and is ordered to serve that sentence, obviously contemporaneously with the 10-year sentence that I've previously indicated. Count 4, he is on the attempted burglary, he is sentenced to 10 years on the attempted burglary, which is a Class D felony, and court has ordered that be run. I mean, the agreement is that it's capped at 10 years for an aggregate sentence, so he is ordered to serve all of those as concurrently, and also concurrently with his Murray County.
Victims Michael Williams Ajak and Mildred Thaxton explain how his crimes left them fearful and robbed them of their sense of safety. with Ms. Thaxton even needing medical treatment due to the stress. Mullaney admits to a long history of criminal behavior, blaming his actions on drug addiction and personal hardship, while claiming he was only trying to find gas. The judge dismisses his excuses, citing his extensive record and repeated probation violations, and sentences him to the maximum penalty of 10 years in prison, with all sentences running concurrently.